Hello, lovely. This is a two-parter. I've had a go with some air drying clay, wrapping it around, rolling it flat and then wrapping it around all sorts of different lids and different containers to try and make some pots for my plants. And that's a little square thing that tells you what your size of your t-shirt is from the supermarket. So I've used all sorts of different molds, hoping to pull them out afterwards, not very successfully, and they've dried beautifully in the heat wave. And then I had to sand them down, just smooth over the rough edges. So these were completely experimental. I had no expectation of how they would come out at all. But all in all, been quite amazing. I'll show you the process. While I'm painting, I got these from Babette's Miniatures. So they're terracotta vases, and I painted some, and I'm going to paint the rest. It's gold leaf day. The conditions have got to be right for gold leaf. This is imitation gold leaf. It's not the 24 karat stuff. And I will walk you through the process. I've used gold leaf quite a lot, this imitation stuff, in art. So I understand some of its peculiarities, but it's a very fickle medium. Sometimes it plays ball, sometimes it doesn't. It does not like high humidity. It does not, don't do it with a window open. Don't do it with a fan on. It will blow everywhere. You don't want this dust that comes off the metal leaf floating around your house, particularly if you've got animals or children. You want to be able to contain it and clean it up, because it is metal leaf. So, you know, it's stuff you do not want to inhale or ingest in any way. So it's 1st of July today. We're post one heat wave, and the next one is on its way next week, and it's about 23 degrees outside and 50% humidity. So I think it's the best we're going to get. So I've got to crack on with this window of opportunity. Let me show you the process. I'll bring the camera in. So let me show you what I've been doing. Sorry if there's a slight little tremor on the camera. It's because I've got it on an arm attached to my table. I've been making these pots. So this is trial and error time. I've used air drying clay. I have in the past used the type of clay you bake in the oven, and the fumes that came off, I was horrified. I thought, I'm not going to use that and have it in the same oven where I cook my dinner. So that was out. I'll use air dry clay in future. This is the size, the metal size that I've got from, I bought this online. It was really quite tricky to source, but this is the best stuff I've come across. You can use PVA glue though. Again, you have to choose your temperatures. You don't want it too hot or too cold. If it's too cold, the metal leaf will tarnish immediately. So I made my pots, and the idea was to use various lids, and I surrounded them in cling film and then put the air dry clay around it. I was hoping to pull out the lids. That didn't work, apart from one. This one I managed to do that with. But anyway, I painted them with acrylic paints in various colours, because this is going to show through to some degree through the gold leaf. Do not expect to have full coverage of gold leaf. You might get that, but it's easier to have a colour underneath and a bit more interesting. Have a bit of a colour underneath that will show through. I put some pots to one side that I'm going to paint all sorts of different colours, and we'll just see how it goes. I say these are trial and error. I've also got these little tiny vases, which I got as a pack of, I think they were 12, and they came in terracotta, just very rough, dry terracotta. So I've painted them with acrylic paint. Different acrylic paints have a different finish. So these you can see are quite shiny, quite plasticky. This is quite a shiny one, whereas this is really dry and matte. So you'll get different finishes with different paints. Decide what you want. So I am going to try and put some gold leaf on those, I think, but I'm going to practice on the pots first, because if it goes complete hash, it doesn't matter. So first things first, cup of tea, wash my hands, and I'll start. Of course, the lid does stick on the sides really thoroughly afterwards, because that's what it's meant to do. I say you can use PVA. Let's get that out of the way. Now I've got a not precious paintbrush for painting this on, and you need to paint it on and leave it to go tacky. So I'm going to start with some of the bigger pots first. And I've only painted, or only worked with this, with flat surfaces before, with canvases, art canvases. So quite honestly, I don't know how we're going to get on. But anyway, I say all this is experimentation as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't matter if it goes wrong. And I've got far too much size here. So the whole thing about the size is you want to paint it on and then you leave it to go tacky. So you need to keep a clean finger, because the fingers that I'm holding the pot with, I can feel are getting all gluey. I'll wash my hands after I've painted it on actually. Don't expect to do underneath because, you know, don't make life too hard for yourself. You can always do the underneath in a second go if you want to. What I'll probably do is I'll paint this on. Sorry, I'm holding that off camera. Paint this on. Go and wash my paintbrush and wash my hands while it's all going tacky. So the backstory is, because Maggie mixes with artists, as in musical artists, and lots of these musical artists have been to art college and stuff. Remember, John Lennon went to art college. Brian Ferry, lots of them went to art college. So it's just what musicians did. I think Mark Bolan went to art college as well. Probably loads of them. Did David Bowie go to art college? Don't know, can't remember. But it's the sort of thing lots of musicians did. Very sticky. You can hear I've got the window open a bit. And this will go tacky quite quickly. So these are, I say, for plants. So the tops of the pots are going to get covered up quite a bit with foliage. That's the plan. And I'm working quite quickly here. This is different sort of paint. This this yellow, it's a different brand and it's really quite dry and has a sort of a sandy feel. So after I made the pots and let them dry, I gave them a sand just to sort of smooth off some of the rough edges. But I'm really quite happy with them having a bit of a rustic look. That's okay. What I'll do is I'll come back to these little vases and things afterwards. We'll see how we go with these first. I am often a bit over ambitious with things, just thinking, oh, just get it done. Right, so see, mass is too much. I'll tip that back. No, you shouldn't do that generally, but I'm going to do that. And wash my brush, wash my fingers. Okay, Let's give these a go. Clean hands. So between every sheet, oh, I say clean hands, but it's really sticky stuff. Between every sheet, you have like a little sheet of tissue paper, and it's really fine. Now you can try and tear it into smaller pieces to make it a little bit more manageable. And trust me, whenever you think, oh no, I'll straighten it out, forget trying to straighten it out. It is a real fiddle diddle, but has some really interesting effects afterwards. And you can see you will get covered in bits of gold. So when I was in the cabin in the garden, which I really liked for many, many reasons, of course it was a pain because I didn't have a sink out there, so I'd be coming into the house all the time. What I tend to use is I've got some water wipes, because I don't want to wash these bits of gold leaf down the sink either. That's not good for our watercourses, because I am environmentally aware. So clean off your hands with wipes if you can instead. And it just sort of becomes a bit of a jigsaw. And I say little bits will fly everywhere. It's just all part of the adventure of life. And I really quite like the creases in it and the imperfections. I don't do perfect. In fact, some of these might end up all a bit too gold. We'll see. You see, that's caught on that one a little bit. I'll have some creases in the gold leaf. You can tear bits off. So have fun with this. Don't expect perfection and get yourself stressed about it. Allow some interesting things to happen and just see what you end up with, because we've got to brush all this off in a minute. These have come out a lot more blingy than I had expected, but anyway, why not? It's a good bit of fun, isn't it? I'm sure Maggie appreciates a bit of bling, and I really like the texture shining through with the sort of rustic pots underneath. You know, it's like, don't stress about getting perfect pots. So this one, it's got a bit of red showing through. We'll try and stick that on. This unusual shaped lid, I couldn't decide which way was going to be the top and which way is going to be the bottom, but I think I know now. So just go over with your fingers. You can go over with a brush, but I like to go over with my fingers and just smooth it all. If you're going over just with a brush, you can miss some bits. You see that bit's dried without any gold leaf on. And this is where you don't want sweaty fingers, and you want a good even room temperature, because otherwise your sweat will tarnish or oils in your skin will tarnish the foil. And this this size, you can, I say you can use PVA glue, gives you a good working time. Doesn't dry too quickly, but you want to wait until it's tacky before you try sticking it on. Oh, lovely texture on that. That's really, it looks like a chocolate, doesn't it? Gorgeous, gorgeous. Now you might have different ideas on what you think it should look like, but I'm really pleased with this and how it looks. And when you take off some of the loose bits, you will get some bits probably coming off that you didn't want to come off. This is why we paint underneath, because then you get colour showing through. And traditionally it would be red or black underneath gold leaf. I did a yellow ochre just for a change, and I really fancied this sort of tealy turquoisey colour. So I've got a soft brush here, and I'm just going to go over and see which other bits come off. Now I'm ready to varnish, and I'm using some artist varnish that I had already, decanting that and a clean brush and painting over the gold leaf that's now all well stuck down. It will get very sticky and very messy here, so you just have to do what you can and put them somewhere to dry, and then go over bits that you think you've missed. But you need the varnish to seal the gold leaf, or else it will tarnish. And look at these, aren't these fantastic? They've come out so much better than I thought they would. They look like delicious chocolates from a chocolate box. A bit more blingy and a bit more coverage than I had originally anticipated. I thought there'd be more colour showing through. But all in all, very, very pleased for the first attempt. I might even keep some of these. There are a couple that I'm going to throw out, but really pleased and very happy. This is a pot that I saw, which is inspiration for this pot that I just painted and left plain. And here they are done and in situ, and I will show you the plant making part in a part 2 video. Thanks for watching.